The world does not reward the warm-hearted. It rewards the sharp, the patient, the cold. From the very beginning, you were told to be kind, to be humble, to be helpful. But ask yourself, are those the people in control? Do the kind rule? Do the humble rise? Or do they serve those who think 5 moves ahead? Look closely. The ones who ascend are not saints. They are strategists. They smile only when it serves a purpose. They detach emotion from decision. They weaponize silence. They turn charm into bait and intelligence into a scalpel. Machiavelli never admired kindness. He admired competence, ruthless clarity, cold brilliance. He knew genius alone is not power. Cold genius is, because warmth makes you predictable. Coldness makes you feared. If you want to rule your life instead of merely surviving it, you must evolve. This world is not a playground, it is a chessboard, and those who play emotionally lose emotionally. So sharpen your mind, seal your emotions, become what they never see coming, a cold genius. A cold genius doesn't waste time blaming the world. He doesn't cry for fairness or beg for mercy. He accepts one brutal truth: nobody is coming to save him. The victim mindset is a disease. It whispers lies. It tells you your pain is unique, that your suffering excuses your inaction. But a cold genius sees this for what it is: a trap. He does not hope things change. He adjusts strategy. Where others drown in betrayal and loss and humiliation, he studies, he learns, and from the ashes of failure, he builds an empire of insight. Victims romanticize their story. Geniuses rewrite the ending. You must stop identifying with your suffering. No one respects weakness dressed in poetic excuses. You were abandoned, used, overlooked, good. That's the fuel. A cold genius does not see failure as shame. He sees it as data. Every mistake, every heartbreak is filed, dissected, understood. Why did they betray you? What did you miss? How can this never happen again? This mindset turns humiliation into intelligence and intelligence into strategy. People who live emotionally never evolve. They chase comfort, not power. And comfort is the coffin of transformation. You want control? Then understand this. The world doesn't owe you healing. It offers you leverage, but only if you're cold enough to take it. This is why the cold genius never plays the fool's game. He does not explain himself to those beneath him. He does not argue with the blind. He does not demand justice from a rigged system. He becomes the exception. He works in silence. He upgrades his armor. And when he returns, those who dismissed him do not recognize what he has become. Because cold genius is transformation without announcement. While others post their pain, you weaponize yours. You build layers, mental insulation. You train your thoughts to seek angles, not sympathy. Every room you enter, you assess. Who holds the power? What does each person fear? Where is the leverage? Hidden. That awareness, calm, detached, ruthless, is how cold genius operates. It is not about being loud. It is about being undeniable. Here is the truth Machiavelli would whisper in your ear. Most people will never respect you if you act like a victim. They may pretend to sympathize, but inside they smell weakness. They don't fear you. They don't need you. They forget you. But the moment you stop asking for fairness, the moment you stop reacting emotionally, the moment you stop being readable, you become dangerous. And in a world of manipulators, predators, and liars, the only way to survive is to be sharper than all of them. So kill the victim in you, mourn his weakness, then bury him. The world does not respect what bleeds. It only respects what learns. From this point forward, every loss becomes research. Every betrayal becomes a data point. Every failure becomes a cold upgrade to your operating system. You are not broken. You are calculating. And soon you will not just play the game, you will control it. That is how a cold genius begins his rise. Not with tears, but with total mental transformation. The cold genius understands what others deny. Emotions lie. Results don't. You can feel loyal to the wrong person. You can feel hope in a dead-end plan. You can feel guilt for escaping a trap. Emotion doesn't care about consequence. It cares about comfort, about identity, about attachment. But power has no use for comfort. Power demands clarity. Machiavelli warned that those who cling to morality at the wrong time will be devoured by those who don't. The same is true of sentiment. It seduces you into hesitation when you should be executing. You must train yourself to ask, is this decision for results or for relief? If it is relief, stop. Relief is emotional, and emotion is the enemy of strategy. This does not mean you become heartless. It means your heart no longer leads your decisions. You can feel everything, but act only when it aligns with your mission. That is the difference between cold genius and sensitive intellect. The sensitive person knows what must be done, but waits for emotional permission. They need approval before action, and so they drown in hesitation. The cold genius does not. He makes the hard call. He cuts off the friend who became dead weight. He walks away from the lover who distracts him. He leaves the job that kills ambition even if it pays well, because sentiment is loyalty to the past, and the past has no place in the plans of a cold genius. If you want to move forward, something must be left behind. A person, a belief, a weaker version of yourself. Whatever it is, it will not go quietly. It will cry. It will guilt trip you. It will remind you of memories, promises, emotions. But if you want clarity, you cut through it. You do not negotiate with sentiment. You erase it. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose." Why? Because fear respects logic. Love clings to fantasy. You must choose clarity over kindness, results over regret, decisions over delay. Look at every empire, every ruler in history. Their rise was built on decisions that broke hearts. And yet, if they hesitated, those hearts would have broken them. That is the dark truth no one admits. Sometimes the right decision feels wrong. It hurts, but it is the only way forward. You must be willing to hurt those you care about if they stand in the way of what must be done. You must be willing to let go of what you love if it is pulling you down. You must be willing to sacrifice comfort for control, because sentiment clouds judgment. It traps you in explanations, in negotiations, in conversations with people who already decided to betray you. Sentiment is the leash. Cold genius cuts it, and once that leash is gone, you become unpredictable, unreachable, unstoppable, because no one knows what you'll do, not even your emotions. That is the power of detachment. When you no longer need emotional approval, you become dangerous. You act not from rage, not from revenge, but from pure logic. This does not make you robotic. It makes you precise. You know when to strike. And when you do, you strike without flinching. The cold genius does not fear hurting feelings. He fears wasting time. He fears losing momentum. He fears becoming soft in a world that devours softness. So the next time you hesitate because it feels wrong, ask yourself, is it truly wrong or does it only feel uncomfortable? Because greatness never grows in comfort. Clarity never comes through tears. It comes through silence, through calculation, through acting like a knife in the dark, precise, silent, cold. This is the discipline of the cold genius. You do what must be done, even when it makes others uncomfortable, even when it makes you uncomfortable, because you no longer answer to your feelings. You answer to your future. To become a cold genius, you must master emotional distance, not just from people, but from your own feelings. Emotions are tools, but only when you control them. When they control you, you become a puppet. Predictable. Weak. Machiavelli knew this. He saw that power does not belong to the most emotional. It belongs to the most calculated. A ruler who reacts from anger or desperation becomes a pawn in the hands of manipulators. Emotional distance is not indifference. It is discipline. The ability to feel everything but act on nothing until the timing is perfect. This is how you gain control. Because the moment others can read you, your tells, your insecurities, your triggers, they begin to shape your behavior. You become easy to provoke, easy to guilt, easy to manipulate. But when you speak less, reveal nothing, become emotionally invisible, you become a threat. The cold genius does not lash out. He withdraws. He listens while others shout. He observes while others perform. And when he finally speaks, his words strike like steel. His silence sharpened the blade. Your silence must be sharper than their noise. Emotional distance is the foundation of clarity. It separates what you feel from what must be done. You may feel anger, but you choose patience. You may feel desire, but you choose timing. You may feel betrayal, but you choose strategy. This restraint makes you unbreakable, because no one can control you if they cannot trigger you. Machiavelli once said, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when keeping faith goes against his interest." To act in your own interest, you must first escape emotional loyalty, even to yourself. The part of you that craves approval, that part must die. Power begins the moment you stop needing validation. You no longer explain your silence. You no longer defend your ambition. You no longer dull your edge to make others comfortable. Instead, you use distance as a weapon. You let others speak. You let them reveal. Every word they spill while you remain silent is a confession, an X-ray of their soul. Their ego demands to fill the void. Let them, and you, take notes. Catalog weaknesses. Memorize emotional triggers. Prepare your moves with surgeon-like precision. This is how manipulation is neutralized, by seeing it before it arrives. You don't react, you redirect, you don't warn, you don't threaten, you simply wait. And when the moment comes, you all. Strike is so subtle, so silent. They never even know it was you. That is the power of emotional distance. It turns conflict into opportunity, enemies into test subjects, drama into chess. You don't defend yourself. You don't argue. You don't prove anything. Your restraint speaks louder than any outburst, and soon people begin to respect you not out of love but out of uncertainty. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know where they stand. They don't know when you'll move. And that fear, that confusion, that tension, that is control. To become a cold genius, you must train yourself to observe without reacting. Let emotion pass through you like wind through steel. Remain untouched, unshaken, unreadable, because in your distance you gain dominance. In your stillness, you become lethal. In your silence, you become the most dangerous presence in the room. Power is not random. It is law. It is pattern. It is formula. Like mathematics, the cold genius treats life as a system to be decoded. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't hope. He studies. He tests. He calculates. Machiavelli saw politics as an equation, human nature as a constant, and strategy as the only variable in your control. The average man stumbles blind, reacting to words, falling for appearances, fooled by smiles. But the cold genius looks deeper. He knows that behind every smile is a motive. Behind every promise is leverage. Behind every act of kindness is a cost. He dissects people not to judge them but to understand their function in the game. Who has influence? Who craves approval? Who fears confrontation? Who is addicted to validation? He sees these not as flaws but as handles, levers, points of control. Just as a physicist studies gravity, the cold genius studies psychological gravity, the pull of fear, lust, envy, greed, and status. He does not run from manipulation. He studies it, because only by understanding influence can you become immune to it. But immunity demands brutal self-awareness. You cannot just study others. You must study yourself. What triggers you? What persuades you? Where are your blind spots? Because if you do not master yourself, someone else will. The cold genius does not take failure personally. He collects it, classifies it, refines it, Like a scientist in a lab, he tests every reaction, every tactic. What provokes fear? What commands respect? What silences the room? This is why most people never rise in power. They personalize everything. They think emotional intelligence means being nice. But in the hands of a cold genius, emotional intelligence is a weapon. It tells you when to flatter, when to intimidate, when to disappear, and when to deliver silence like a death sentence. You're no longer a victim of moods. You become a master of signals. Machiavelli believed fortune favored the prepared. And the cold genius is always prepared. He has read the histories. He has studied the tyrants, the tacticians, the seducers, the liars, the conquerors. He reads not only books, but people. He walks into a room and sees the invisible map of power. Who wants control but lacks the skill? Who hides ambition under humility? Who will collapse under pressure? Who is playing chess and who is merely playing checkers? Then he decides who to ignore, who to manipulate, who to replace. Because cold genius is never reactive. He is positional. He places himself where observation comes before execution. He lets others reveal their hunger, their arrogance, their weakness. And when they have exposed themselves fully, he moves. No wasted energy, no unnecessary noise. Just surgical precision. The lesson is simple. Treat power like a code. Study it daily. Decode every interaction. And when you finally master it, you will never chase power again. Power will orbit you. Influence will seek you. Others will fear not because they know what you'll do, but because they cannot predict. And that is the cold genius advantage. Do you want to become one? Then stop blending in. Stop hiding your sharpness. Stop playing small for the comfort of the mediocre. You must create a reputation that doesn't whisper intelligence. It demands silence when you enter. Mediocrity fears two things: clarity and precision. The cold genius radiates both. He does not brag. He does not seek applause. His words are blades, calculated, exact, cold. He forces others to question themselves before they ever question him. This is not ego. It is engineering. Engineering a reputation so sharp that mediocrity retreats on sight. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." True power is not position. It is presence. Authority is not the crown. It is the man who makes the crown feared. The cold genius understands this. His discipline, his timing, his silence, these are his weapons. His message is clear. I do not compete with the average. I erase it. This is where most intelligent men fail. They think brilliance alone is enough. It isn't. If your genius does not intimidate mediocrity, it is wasted brilliance. Mediocre people love soft minds. They want you humble, apologetic, harmless, because that makes you safe for them. But the moment you sharpen your words, execute without hesitation, and stop diluting your presence, you become their mirror. And weak people hate mirrors. They will call you arrogant, too cold, too calculated. Let them. Their complaints are confessions. And every insult is a sign that your clarity has cut too deep. Because when you build a reputation that makes people uncomfortable, you also build distance. And that distance protects your energy, your focus, your mission. Think like Machiavelli. Build a persona so respected that even in your absence it governs the room. Let people fear wasting your time. Let them hesitate before lying to you. Let them measure their words with care because your mind is not their playground. Reputation is not built by being everywhere. It is built by being unforgettable when it matters. Say less. Do more. And when you speak, make sure your words echo. Your silence must feel like judgment. This is why the cold genius is not overly social. He chooses moments. He appears when it matters. He leaves before they get comfortable. Because comfort breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds disrespect. Your coldness must feel rare, sacred, unreachable. So when you move, they remember. And when you disappear, they feel your absence like a warning. This is how you make mediocrity nervous. You don't compete with it. You overshadow it. You become the standard. The name whispered. The presence felt even after you are gone. This is not childish fear. It is psychological advantage. When others hesitate around you, you win. When they second-guess themselves, you win. When they prepare twice as hard just because you are in the room, you have already won. Because the true power of the cold genius is not in how he moves, it is in how others move around him. So how do you build this? Be disciplined when others are emotional. Be precise when others are vague. Be unavailable when others are desperate. Be brutally excellent when others are merely competent. And most of all, never explain yourself. Power that explains itself loses its edge. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them fear. Let your mystery do the damage. Because reputation is stronger than presence. And when built correctly, it works for you even when you say nothing. That is the final form of cold genius. Not just intelligence, not just control, but reputation weaponized into aura. The world does not belong to the loud, the kind, or the merely talented. It belongs to the cold genius. The one who feels everything but shows nothing. The one who turns pain into data, betrayal into leverage, rejection into precision. You stopped thinking like a victim. You silenced your emotions. You studied the patterns of power until they became instinct. You made decisions with clarity, free from guilt, free from sentiment, free from comfort. And now you have built something most will never understand. An identity that terrifies mediocrity before you ever speak. You no longer seek validation. You no longer explain. You no longer flinch. You move coldly, cleanly, with purpose. And when they try to predict you, they fail. Because you have evolved beyond emotion. You have become untouchable, unreadable, the final version of intelligence. Weaponized, strategic, cold. This is the world of the cold genius. No chaos, no noise, only results. If these words strike something in you, hold them. If you are ready to walk like a weapon, subscribe. This is not a channel for the average. This is for those who refuse to die soft. For those who choose silence over sympathy, logic over love, power over peace. Make your mind unbreakable. Make your presence unforgettable. And remember, this world does not deserve your warmth. It deserves your domination. Stay. Because the next lesson will cut deeper than this one.